你一个河南的穷小子，你就想捆住我啦？
My ex-boyfriend is just a poor guy. You, a poor guy from Hunan, do you really think you can tie me down? Back then, we stayed at home every day, and on Saturdays and Sundays you would cook something for me at home, like tomato scrambled eggs. You would just take 2 big white steamed buns and sit at home to eat. You should know that today I am not someone who eats steamed buns. Now I eat Western food, and now I am a woman who eats Western food in a 5-star hotel. I work in the finance industry now, and we talk about projects worth 100 million or 200 million yuan at the drop of a hat, while my ex-boyfriend sells gym memberships for 1,000 or 2,000 yuan in a gym, and he still thinks he is amazing. This month I am the top salesperson in our gym. I sold the most gym memberships, and I even earned how much commission. The leaders value me a lot, and they always say these things. But at night he can only go back to a bare concrete apartment where he lives. Then he buys a few steamed buns outside and comes back to eat them. The gap is way too big, and I really cannot stand it. I studied hard for more than 10 years, came all the way to Shanghai, and ended up eating steamed buns at home with you, a poor guy from Hunan. Then I might as well not have studied at all. Wouldn't it be better if I had stayed in my hometown and married an ordinary person earlier? And many people say that women like us in finance dress well and move around among big entrepreneurs. It is very hard for us to still look up to ordinary guys, and honestly that is absolutely true. Because I have been to golf courses too, watching those rich people swing their golf clubs. How handsome is that? That kind of scene you see on TV and in movies is unfolding right in front of your eyes. And now you still want me to go home and eat malatang with you. What malatang am I supposed to eat? Am I sick or what? Right? With my own workability, with my own looks, can't I do better? I have a colleague in finance who married a rich client. When he came to buy insurance back then, because he was about 37 or 38 at the time, he said, I think my life will probably be like this, and I won't be able to find a partner. Then I want to buy a bit of insurance for my own retirement in the future. So he bought insurance from us. Because we deal with many people from the upper circles, like government officials, and even district chiefs are considered ordinary people. I have also met many mayors, and we often ate at the same table and held meetings at the same table. So women like us in finance cannot possibly marry ordinary men. Because we have seen far too many outstanding men. It is like you have eaten bird's nest and abalone. There is no way I would go back to eating stir-fried vegetables with tofu.
Last year, that video of a Shanghai finance circle woman mocking her poor boyfriend went viral. Back then, the internet was full of outrage, to the point that later she had to come out and clarify it. I watched that so-called clarification video too, but it was just her rephrasing what she said, only with less overt insult. This is why in China today, some people put finance circle women into the category of 3 types men refuse to marry. Because after men have seen the world, either it will ignite ambition in them, or they will realize that they will never reach that level in this lifetime, and then they give up. But women are different. After women have seen the world, they will immediately feel that they also belong to that class. Just like this Shanghai finance circle woman. After eating at 5-star buffets and going to golf courses, she feels that steamed buns cannot be eaten anymore, and bare concrete apartments cannot be lived in anymore. You should know that in the finance world, the least scarce thing is indulgence and luxury. Especially in a glamorous city like Shanghai. Once a woman enters this circle, even if she only earns a fixed salary each month, after eating and seeing the world with rich people, she will find it very hard to respect the poor boyfriend beside her anymore. Shanghai is truly a magical place. The story I'm going to tell next also happened in Shanghai, and it is also about a woman who looked down on her boyfriend, but she is more miserable. Now she has fallen to the point where she relies on her so-called ex-husband for support, so she will not starve. As for why I call him a so-called ex-husband, let's take a look at her own statement.
我最后悔的事情就是没领证生了2个孩子。
The thing I regret most is not getting a marriage certificate and having 2 children. Because of my arrogance and lack of foresight, my life and my children's lives have now become extremely passive and helpless. I am 38 years old, in Shanghai. My hometown is a rural area in Xinjiang, Hunan, and I am single with 2 children. The children's father, sometimes I also call him my ex-husband, so it is easier to understand. He is just an ordinary working man. Back then we were still a warm little family, but because I did not want to get a marriage certificate, we ended up living our own lives now, and everything is a mess. The main reason I did not get a marriage certificate and still had children back then was that I was too arrogant. When I gave birth, it was pretty much the highlight of my life, the time when my confidence was at its peak. At that time, I felt that my life still had endless possibilities. Look at me, I am from a rural area in Hunan, and my original family background was the worst of the worst. After I finished a 985 master's degree in Shanghai in 2013, I relied on my own effort and bought a home and a car in Shanghai. I felt that I finally could take control of my own destiny, and I had made it in Shanghai. I would only get better and better, and the upper limit of my life would only get higher and higher. But the foundation of my original family was insufficient, and there were no elders with the ability or vision to guide me. Because everyone's life has ups and downs. Arrogant in my early 30s, I thought my life would rise in a straight line like a rocket. How could that be possible? In fact, maybe most people's lives are only good for a brief moment, followed by endless valleys and downhill slopes. After the pandemic came in 2020, my hotel income was not just reduced, it basically went to zero. But at that time I still would not give up. I felt it was only a transition, and what did it count for? With my ability, I would turn the tide. So when the pandemic started, I found out I was pregnant, and after my daughter was born in November 2020, she needed to be registered in the official family record. The father of my child asked me, "When are we going to pick a date and get the marriage certificate?" Many sisters in my comments said, "Is it that this man is unwilling to give you status, unwilling to give you commitment or a guarantee?" That is really not it. It was because I was too arrogant at the time. He wanted me to get the marriage certificate. I refused. I firmly refused. I said I did not want to get a marriage certificate. Because at that time, whether emotionally or economically, I felt I still had a lot of upward space. I kept looking upward, and I did not consider one issue, the issue that no one would be there to catch me if I fell. I was born into a rural family in Hunan. My parents either worked those 10 mu of land, wheat in spring, corn in autumn, or they did odd jobs at construction sites. They were basically on the edge of subsistence, let alone providing a safety net for me or letting me rely on them. So when I hit a low point, who could help me? I had never thought about that.
Whether emotionally or economically, there's a lot of upward space. She really praises herself beautifully, making monkey branching sound so fresh and elegant. Isn't it simply that you earned a little money and then looked down on your boyfriend? There are many reasons not to get married. It could be fear of assets being divided after marriage, or fear of missing out on a better man. But shifting the blame onto parents who farm the land is purely wrong. If her parents had advised her back then, would she have listened? She made her life a complete mess, and then turned around and blamed her parents for having no vision.
只能说人的身体或者精神或者是生活是会有 bug 的。
All I can say is that a person's body, mind, or life can have bugs, and everyone has times of bad luck. At times like that, who can help you? This is a very serious and crucial question. Is it your parents, your friends, your children, or your partner? You might say do not test human nature. When disaster strikes, people fly apart. Are you having children just to be your safety net? All I can say is that life has many possibilities, and we should try our best to seize those possibilities. One part of human nature is the human heart, made of flesh. Both sides' character and bonds will make them look for more ways out. For example, the father of my child, although he knows I lacked consideration in many things and has lost trust in me, at least he knows I am a good mother and I take very good care of the children. So to this day he is still willing to give me living expenses, so I do not starve. Then why is the father of my child still willing to give me living expenses, and I still regret not getting a marriage certificate? It is because I have become more mature in the past 2 years. Getting a marriage certificate is not only a sense of ceremony for both sides, it is also a strong binding of the relationship. If I had chosen to get a marriage certificate back then, it would have been a union at the legal level and the national level. Then I think the father of my child, my ex-husband, would have given me more tolerance and support mentally and emotionally. And I myself would have had more restraint or self-discipline. For example, some hurtful words would not just blurt out, without considering the consequences. For example, when I used to argue with my ex-husband, I remember saying several times, in anger, I said, "What do you think our relationship is? We are just friends, at most a couple." Today, if I carry this bag and walk out of this home, it is over between us, there will be no relationship, no connection, and there is nothing you can do about it. I believe that in a relationship, anyone who hears words like that would feel deeply hurt and fall apart. So if I had another chance, I would feel that I would consider more risks and balance in life. I would not be so self-centered, arrogant, and stubbornly unconventional anymore.
This woman has no job now, and she relies on this so-called ex-husband to support her. What she regrets is not that she did not get a marriage certificate. What she regrets is that she did not find someone to catch her before. The reason is not as lofty as she says. It is nothing more than that she can only rely on her ex-husband now. And without the binding of a marriage certificate, she is always uneasy. Because without legal constraints, the ex-husband can absolutely stop supporting her whenever he wants, and she has no possibility of suing. What she is most grateful for now is probably that the children stayed by her side. If there were no two children, the ex-husband probably would not care about her. I feel her ex-husband is truly miserable. In a high-cost city like Shanghai, one person earns money and 4 people spend it. And the key is that this woman still acts as if she has him completely locked down. And it even feels like when she asks her ex-husband for money, she is completely self-righteous about it.
我跟你一起生孩子带孩子，我不跟你要钱，我给谁要钱？
I had children with you and raised children with you. If I do not ask you for money, who am I supposed to ask for money? Should I go ask other men for money? At first, when I asked him for money, arguing a little still worked, and he would transfer it to me. Slowly, arguing stopped working, and it turned into a cold war. At the beginning, a one-day cold war still worked. As long as I ran away from home, he would go out to look for me, and in the end he would transfer the money to me. Slowly, a one-day cold war stopped working too, and it turned into a cold war for 3 days, 5 days. In the end I became smarter. I stopped leaving, stopped making a fuss. I started smashing things, I started smashing the door. The children's father is originally a working man too. After working all day, he came back and still had to argue with me until late at night, and the neighbors heard it and it was outrageous. He felt, forget it, just spend money to buy peace, buy some quiet. But what is lucky is that although my ex-husband was blind to choose me, my judgment was not wrong, I chose the right person. So although we are separated now, he is still covering my living expenses. Originally, he worked and earned money, I spent money and raised the kids, everyone was fine, and every month our relationship was still harmonious. But these past few days, things have gone wrong again. Why? Because this month is discount season, sisters, you know what I mean, right? Discount season means the price of clothes this month is half off, 30% off. If you round it, isn't it basically free? Oh my God, that is basically free. So I bought several pieces. The more I bought, the more I found everything looked good on me, so I could not stop. I spent all my living expenses on buying clothes. I spent all the living expenses a few days ago. From yesterday the 25th to the 31st there is still a week, and I have no money in my pocket. I cannot make it to the 30th, so I can only shamelessly ask my ex-husband for money again. He said, "Where's the money I gave you?" I said, "It is discount season now." He said, "How much did you spend?" I said, "Clothes are very cheap during discount season." He said, "I am asking you exactly how much you spent?" I said, "All year long, I have not spent that much money on clothes, what is wrong?" He kept saying, "I am asking you exactly how much you spent?" I said, "The clothes I bought are all very cheap." He said, "Do you know how bad the economy is right now? Do you know I could lose my job at any time? You bought so many clothes, are you going to wear them?" As soon as I heard that, I got even angrier. I work myself to the bone raising children all year long, and I do not even have the right to buy clothes anymore? Maybe he felt we were talking past each other, so he stopped replying to my messages.
Sometimes I really feel speechless. Chinese men should be the most responsible fathers in the world. Even like this, he is still willing to be drained by her under the banner of taking care of the kids. But this is also a common routine for some women nowadays. After getting divorced, they fight for custody and then ask the ex-husband for child support. This child support is not only to raise the children, it is to support her too. So they casually asked the ex-husband for several thousand or over 10,000 yuan in child support. But the court usually only orders 2 or 3,000. And that is in a first-tier city like Shanghai. In cities with weaker economies, there are even cases of only a few hundred yuan. So many women, a few years after divorce, end up sending the children back to the ex-husband. Actually, this woman is the same as the finance circle woman at the beginning of the video. Both of them look down on their boyfriends after seeing the world. What is more disgusting about this later woman is that she is even a bit self-righteous about living off her ex-husband. But they also share one thing in common, which is that neither of them feels it is shameful. They openly talk about their thoughts and experiences. It is hard not to sigh that the values of some women in today's China have reached a level that is truly astonishing. If a man said he was materialistic or said he was monkey branching, he would probably be torn apart by these little fairies. That is it for the video. If you have any other thoughts, feel free to share them with everyone in the comments, and I will see you next time.